Shuckaroni macaroni. Folks, if y'all don't know who Wayne Shorter is, you should go and buy some Wayne Shorter. As far as I'm concerned, that is one of the greatest composers of last century and this century. Wayne Flippin' Shorter. That was one of his prized tunes called Footprints. And here are our footprints, very appropriately uh, played and presented. Lawrence Wheatley. By the way, we all grew up together. And this is like homecoming. Joe Link on drums. Joe, you went to Western High School, right? Western High School used to be Western before it became Duke Ellington. And my man Joe Link used to hang out in Wilson High School more than he did in his Western High School. I thought he went to our school. He didn't. But having said that, you know, a lot of people don't know that there was another school name before Duke Ellington, but how appropriate that we gave our man from DC, Duke Ellington, a name. And not only did we give him a name, but we gave him a bridge. But that bridge, geez, that bridge had another name, actually two names. One was called Calvert Street Bridge, but the other one was called the Second Suicide Bridge. Are y'all aware of that? A little bit of history, because a lot of people dropped from there. Matter of fact, I saw one drop and killed, and I literally hung to some other one's pants. And this cat was 6 times bigger than me, maybe not six, but 3 times bigger than me. And I'm like hanging onto his pants. His butt is looking at me, and this cat is trying to jump over. And that was still known as Calvert Street Bridge. On the other side, which was the second, was Taft Bridge, and two of my friends' father jumped over and committed suicide on that one. But just a little bit of history on DC. Y'all probably didn't know that, did y'all? Shucks-a-roni macaroni. Y'all just don't know that I am a product of what? Chocolate City. So having said that, Duke Ellington, you know, Wayne Shorter, two of the greatest composers that we've had all time, along with many others. So we're going to play one more, I think, before we bring these young, beautiful ladies with these young, smacking words to let us know who we are and who the future will be.
You have a plan to mow the west. Take the highway, it's my way, that's the best. You're gonna get your kicks on Route 66. Now it goes from Chicago to LA. Just about 2,000 miles along the way. You gotta get your kicks on Route 66. Well, it goes through St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, Oklahoma City looks mighty pretty. You'll see Amarillo, Joplin, New Mexico. Don't forget Winona, Flagstaff, Arizona, Kingston, Boston, San Bernardino. Well, you better get hip. So this time the trip. If you wanna make the California trip, I'll get your kicks on Route 66.
This is Karen Lovejoy.
Yeah. Round of applause for the amazing musicians. Beautiful. I need you all to repeat after me. Peace. Love. Family. And now we are all here in peace, love, and family. A huge shout out to the amazing American Poetry Museum for hosting us. Shout out WBL for bringing the community together. And thank you again to the amazing musicians behind us. But most importantly, thank you all for joining us today to celebrate these newly elected Youth Poet Laureates of the DMV. Yes, I'm your host, Marjan Naderi, and Farsi that's pronounced Marjan Naderi. I'm so happy to be here with you all. By a show of hands, how many of you guys have been to a poetry reading before? Okay. Wow, okay, that's actually everyone, but we'll still go over the rules just so we know how to engage with our lovely audience. If you guys hear something that grazes the touch of your heart, you can make the chocolate on the roof of your mouth type sound that goes, mmm. Let me hear y'all say, mmm. Beautiful. And if you guys hear something that kind of shakes your soul up a little bit, you can let the poets know that you're digging it by snapping. Let's hear some snaps. Okay, Rice Krispie Bowl, we got it going. And if you super digging this poet and you're like, this poet needs to be heard by everyone around the world because I just had my life changed, you can combine the snaps and the mms for a little bit of Let me hear y'all. Okay, yeah, you guys are a little bit far, so I can't hear you with precision, but that works. It still works. Let's give a little practice round and see how well we can do. I'm gonna read you guys the most fire poem that you guys will ever hear, and you guys must pretend like I am Michelle Obama for just a hot second. Are you ready? Okay, ready? Sally sold some seashells down by the seashore. That was kind of weak. Let's try that one more time. Ready? Poetry. Okay, we're getting better. Oh my God, did we just see another poet laureate come into the building? Gabriella, nice to see you. Words. So, first up to the segment of number one, we will be having these poets come up, share some poems alongside our amazing musicians, and you guys will have your socks blown off because it's going to be poetry in rhythm and melody. So if you guys are ready for your first poet of the afternoon, make some noise for Kashi Ramani! Oh my God, thank you for making me feel tall, Marjan. Oh my God, I love you. Thank you. There it is. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out today. This is so exciting. This first piece is about religion. It's about being a Hindu. And these wonderful musicians will be playing for me in the background, which is just so cool. This is called Finding You, and I hope you like it. As the ceiling lifts and slopes under a blanket of rehearsed bhajans, the sky domes to a manifestation of worship. Crushed rose petal ground feels more blood-stained to me. Cautious treads as I cower from watchful eyes and proposed peace. I make my rounds. I lift my fingers to their clay, their airbrushed skulls. I always come back to you, Parvati. Hands magnetized in sacrilege as I will your being to spring in me. Branches reaching in my limbs, flowers finally sprouting. When did my roots become worn with falsifications, Shakti? Your aroma billows in taunting waves. forces solemn repentance as my beady eyes meet your earthy almonds, quivering lips blend into blackened skin, illuminated under your ivory. They said you knew when to sit quiet, remained pure, faithful, under the gaze of wolfish eyes glazed with lust. They said the forest embraced you as its spirit, a placid picture of meditative perfection for them to feast upon from afar. Parvati, I entered the forest and lost my way, howling and still unearthed. When I finally lift, my hands are crosshatched with flooring imprints and your echoing whispers, enough to keep me tethered to a promise that moksha is found in finding you. That moksha is found in finding you. Thank you. One more round of applause for the lovely Kashmir. He's going to be representing Arlington City this year, which is incredible. And she was so strong as like the wild sounds were passing through, so super professional. I loved her line, "Sky dome is from the manifestation of worship." Like, okay, poet, didn't even play with the dress. She's here. Next up to the stage, we have the amazing new DC Youth Poet Laureate, Sarina! Thank you, Marsha.
We're gonna give the train a second to pass. There we go.
This one is called The Road's End. And one day, life loosened his great love on this tiny daughter. With two gentle hands, freed her unsuspecting from this fold. And one day, life was a hurricane, but smaller than that. A man, darkened with only the gentleness of her storm. And one day, life was the knowledge that he created her and could leave her behind, even at her center. And one day, life left like a father with nowhere to run, for there is no day where the dead truly die. And one day, life passed, and at the road's end, he asked where the soul went, lifted his footprint to check, and that's how they got him. See, people think the soul leaves. Maybe it does. Still leaving. See, people think the soul leaves, but she doesn't. The visitor rips through you, kills you from the inside. See prayer dripping from nose like blood. See children collect cupboards of little beasts in their lungs and hate to exhale because they know what one day won't return. Until the breath stops coming back, I am terrified of everything that wastes time. Birthdays, recitals, first dates, poems, of showing up for myself in case he doesn't. And one day, life deserves the softness he finds after mine. But maybe it's still not fair. Maybe I'm still not first. Maybe I learned to love that softness as the only wound I grew from. The only proof that I too was capable of loving something into existence without destroying myself first. Adam, won't you hand me both your ribs? This time, let's set them slant like a mother and daughter in conversation. Let's see how much of the progenitor's pain one prodigy can pray free, and if I cannot raise life to its end, I will race you to it. What kind of soul can return again and again without killing itself? What kind of soul walks itself home? We hold our breaths, but at the road's end, we know it's not the Father who shows up for ourselves, just us. Thank you. One day the soul leaves. Awkward pause. Beautiful work. Next up to the stage, we have the youngest ever youth poet laureate, the one and the only Elena.
I got trapped in the chair. Okay. This poem is entitled Inheritance. One, I am born with history tucked between my front teeth, with inherited miles compounded into the soles of my feet. The first time I know my name, I will learn that I come from vibrations, from nothing but voices, so loud they have been mistaken for thunder, for God's heartbeat. I'm perpetually spanned across pencil-shaded chasms and moon fissures. I have lived in every furrow of land, seen every glimmer of cinnamon freckled in air. I carry almonds in my pockets. All I know how to do is listen and walk in the patterns of constellations. 2. Remember once we carried our houses on our backs, though home was a place we had never been. I could tell you about the slender weight of timber balanced against spine, about the gaps in ceiling beams cut for the edges of stars. I could tell you about miracles, the kind that need oxygen to exist, because I know this story like I know my own name, like I carry pomegranate seeds in my pockets. You see, I was there the day the world got created, touched the pulsing heart of the sun. I have been aluminum, titanium, butterfly. I have been sweat-streaked and tea-drag. I have been wanderer. I'm still wanderer 3. I stand here, daughter of the Nile, raised only by a worn hope and glimmers of the past. I carry apricot pits in my pockets where crocuses in my hair. The truth is, I have learned remembrance better than living. My name rests in between craggy black lines of scripture, though it doesn't seem to have a place on your tongue. I have been born 1,000 times, died more than I care to recall. My graves are unmarked. My hands are full, my feet are always broken and brawny. I have been here before. 4. Is there a psalm for every place we go? Must we look for one in each wrinkle of the horizon? I do not know where I will be buried, but an orchard will bloom in that place every April. So until then, I will carry seeds in my pockets, just as those who came before me did. And I will plant home wherever I go. Ilana was there when the world was created. Okay. She will be representing Montgomery County. Moving on to the second segment of the show, we're going to be leaving the music kind of to the side, and these poets are going to come up and give you some raw poems. But before we get started, let's play a little game, okay? I need you guys to play the applause game. When my hand is down to my waist, I need pin drop silence.
But as my hand begins to increase and get closer to the roof, y'all need to get crazy. Y'all need to blow DC off the East Coast. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right, I know it's a little bit hot outside, but let's gather some energy. Ready? All right.
Ready. All right. Yeah.
Let's go. All right, guys, keep that round of applause going for coming back to the stage. We have Kashfi Ramani. Thank you so much. Any trains in the midst? All right, I think we're good. Oh my God, this isn't though. What is happening? Yes, thank you so much. Yes, okay, round two. This poem is very old, like a year and a half old, and I wrote it while I was still on the DC Youth Slam team, but I revamped it a little, and I still think it's one of my favorites. And this is for the women in the crowd. And it's called No Longer Gentle. No, but a young woman can be criticized for anything she does. Wears a little makeup to make herself feel good. No, don't cake your face and fool the boys. Cries when she's had enough. No, your life is perfect. Pain undeserved. Tries in school. No, boys don't like them smart. Acts how they expect her to. No, all girls are the same. No, stop stinging. The word's frequency now a dull throb. But when she's terrified, knows this isn't what she wants, no, doesn't roll off the tongue, gets stuck in her throat, leaves her feeling the broken, she knows they whisper down her spine, but no, forget it happened. No, it's her fault. 18th century made evolution, no revolution, no condemnation of fabric of country. Founding fathers preached new ideas with a blind eye to women's suffrage, no to slavery, no to peace and prosperity. Why do we let a country created by men, now run by men, no, ruined by men, ruined once again? Teetering laws are arguing parents know. Honey, let the grown-ups talk. They decide our fates like karma. Force fingers to our lips and silence our cries. Our hands itch to push back, but no. A good girl rests hands in laps. Even when they strip us of all our liberties. Make us more bone, no more object in their words than woman. The blame of their actions still weigh on us like a pregnant storm cloud that never stops pouring. So we fill our palms with acid rain. Know that men will claim the burden is left to them. And no, we don't correct them. Fear for our own lives first. Know the control they have over our rights, our bodies. No, they say it's humanity. We know it's a shackle. Without the handcuffs, no, we wouldn't sit with wrists still magnetized behind our backs. But no, we agree, with tight-lipped smiles and teary eyes, as another woman preaches, oh, boys will be boys, and the cycle continues. No. Ignoring the problem won't make it go away, no. We can't wait for buckets when they started the thunder. No, we don't succumb to the sword they brandish over and over. No, we've always been the better fighters. Because we've never stopped fighting. Thank you.
Kashfi is a fighter. What can we say? I have a little blurb that I wanted to read for her now that you guys have heard two of her amazing poems. Kashfi is a powerhouse and poet through grace and truth. Each time I've listened to Kashfi, her work has continued to grow and mold around her frame. Her words and her poetry really does come and blossom from the depth of her being. She is a student of the world and a true honor to have here with us tonight. If you guys are down for a haiku, say haiku. You guys ever be having a conversation and then later that evening you see that Siri or like Instagram brings up an advertisement about that and you're like, I thought you guys weren't listening. And then you're like, I don't know, now I feel stalked. This is a haiku called Haiku to Siri and Alexa. I know one of you is always listening, but you're so convenient. Coming up next to the stage, we have Serena. Serena writes, her consciousness does become vulnerable, and the audience can't help but melt into the sweetness of her fruitful offerings. Her poetry is authentic, challenging, and oh so tender. As an activist, she protests with force without ever forgetting flow or respect. She's strong, a house of change, and for the poet laureate representing the capital of the United States, I need you guys to start making some more noise for Serena!
Hi. Thank you so much. Wow. Okay, y'all let me know if any more trains are coming through, okay? I know, you have my back. Okay. What is this? So sorry. It appears I'm slightly too tall. For once. Okay. This next poem is called Performance of Earth. It is a favorite of mine. She's a little old, just a year old. And I dedicate this to anyone today who has felt out of place in their body. And I hope that you find that source of home again soon. Performance of Earth. I haven't felt like myself since I died. And I wish I was a poet that could talk about flowers, but I've never had a green thumb. Every flower I touch dies. And when I rose from the dead, I coughed up so much dry dirt you could have, irrigated it. Just hairballs of Mother Earth. I her cat. And you know, I planted a theory once that the ghosts of your past are just pieces of yourself shed around the house starting to grow. My body. A performance in waiting to love my body. A specter waiting to haunt to again feel whole my body. A hairball I forgot to cough up. A hand-me-down for an earth tired of sharing. I'm saying, here, take it. I don't want it anymore. One day, life will tire of ways to green gown me. And one day, this body will be blackened with ash. And one day, I will inherit this body and everything it fruits to life. And one day, I will feel everything without feeling like I have to grow from it. And as the king of this body, I will stretch my smile so wide the orchid blooms between my legs, so wide the throne no longer feels like a prison, so wide the drain in my shower gets unclogged. And, I had a theory once that not everything will change, because I want something to look at light and still choose me, because I want something to buy me flowers and feel powerful when I am not, because I want something to make a home, something to grow from this empty body. What dies first? The self, right? When I am naked for the last time, I will speak of this body and everyone it has held prisoner as an old friend. I will speak of organic freedom, of wholesale love, of drinking my home garden's nectar. I will speak of those flowers the poets love so much. And if it takes a village to raise a child, how many flowers does it take to raise a dead girl? One day it will take more than language to understand me. One day, it will take silence. Thank you, DC.
Truly the most beautiful earth poem I've ever heard. Another round of applause. If you guys are having a lovely time, say yeah. Awesome. Guys, I don't mean to remind you, but poetry and performances are sacred conversations that are happening between our poet and the audience. They are giving offerings, and so when we can give some energy back, it makes the performance that much stronger. So, as I encourage you guys to continue to give snaps and applauses and wails, I'm going to be bringing up our next poet to the stage, Ilana! So happy that I don't have to have the mic with us, that it like actually works. This poem is from my sister, and it has Freight Train in it, so it'll be good timing. For every birthday, I'll give you a compass, so you always know where you are, or rather where you're going, and I'll teach you how to use it before you know what it means to get lost in a story or a storm. And when that storm comes, there will be no place for oxygen in the folds of your fingers, but then again, you already know how to make a fist. Ayala, this world will take your name in its mouth and try to change it. Sand down your edges, say your syllables are brimming over, but they aren't. They're perfect. I know it's hard to look at a caricature and tell it that it is not a mirror. Trust me, I've tried to. So when you falter, remember that you are a gazelle who is born in the rugged heart of a volcano and that there is magma in your veins. You need to know how to rip out seams, no matter how tightly stitched they are. When you dig into the playground mulch and discover there is clay beneath the surface, remember that you have always known how important it is to make something of whatever lies beneath your feet. But I'll tell you once, and I'll tell you again, to make something better than what you have been given, because trust me, this world is worth changing. You're going to know about snow globes and how to touch mountains from your fuzzy elephant sleeping bag, what friction feels like on your cheeks, and the taste of static electricity. Oh, and when there is only blackout and we've lost the lights, remember that there is always a glow stick behind your ear, so it's dark out. Let's light a candle. I do not need to teach you the language of the flame because you are already hewn of fire, though that does not bind you to things that burn. Let's watch from the back porch as the heat wave lets out an exhale. Beckoned by a thunderstorm, I don't know if you see the way the kitchen smiles when you start to dance, but I do. I want you to know that a pearl is caressed from disturbance. There are entire landscapes furled in the bends of this road. The more you see of people, the more there is to see. Mangoes and fireflies are just as related as you and I. They are both living daughters of the sun, so the sputtering flame regains her rhythm. Somewhere along the turnpike, the hills rise out of the road, take their first steps, and a freight train wakes you up at exactly 6:30 a.m. Braid every moment into your dandelion chain so that your fingers never forget. It's all right to be hung up on dynamite and chocolate chip cookies at the same time. Learn the face of gravity so that it can never ambush you in a dark corner, but never forget to wear your flower crowns. To refuse to stop being bioluminescent even when everybody else has gone to sleep. You are meant for maps, for pressing your ear to the pulse of the ocean, for sketching the Amazon rainforest from 250 miles above, for pinch pots, for headphones, for loving the storm, not because it is safe, it isn't, but because you know that you are more than capable of weathering it, and every weather after, when the fireflies take to the air, you gleam like a dragon. I promise not to tell anyone when you ink your initials into the blushing weft of the sky. If you need any help, I'll be right here. Thank you. And that was after Sarah K's point B. I forgot to say that at the beginning. The kitchen smiles when you dance? Come on, poet. Again, she's representing Montgomery County, but we also have Sasa Akil. Shout out, you poet laureate, out in the audience. We're going to be doing a whole circle back, and we're going to be inviting Kashfi right back up to the stage. Let's keep the applause going. I think I got it this time. Look at that, I'm the new Marjan. Okay, I'm still recovering from that beautiful poem of Ilana's. That was beautiful, and it's even better than when I read it, if that's possible. But this next poem is for my grandmother, who is thousands and thousands of miles away, but I think of her every day, and my whole family in India. And it's called My Dodda Nade, and if you couldn't tell already, Dodda means grandmother in my language. When the clouds part, my grandmother is on the move.
Her locks flap in the wind. She hides the flaps on her skin. She always finds a way to burrow inside herself, to position her limbs in the shadows of the sun. She runs faster each time reality catches up. India rises from its trout-lipped slumber, and her basket is already filled with buds. Jasmine sugarcoats her strained smile. She'll have to fix that by noon, and prepares to string itself on garlands. Dodda works its milky color to a lather, scrubbing until a bumpy rash of rose envelops her brown. Not cream. She'll try again tomorrow. At 11, she bustles down flights of stairs, kneading dough until the salt that drips from her face is enough seasoning, until the blood that washes over her hands hides the henna, flavors the dough with sindoor. So she sweeps a mark across her forehead and prays, clasps her hands together, asks for a new face. The clock finally chimes 12, and she dons 4 tiffins of lunch and a crimson sari to wash out the weakness. Her feet are quick. Her husband's are quicker. When he's through, her wavering teeth, more ocean than stronghold, attack her own hands over and over and recrudescent waves over and over, and 3 p.m. And she practices teetering spoons on her palms to prepare for the weight of the world on her shoulders. Her daughter-in-law is growing grayer and frailer by the day. Men like a little meat on the bones. More cooking for Dodda. Her niece, who once painted the solar system on her eyelids, let her planets get lost on Earth. The ones who aren't pretty have to be smart. Dodda can't marry them off right away. And her daughter, who runs at the same time as she does every morning to connect with the life she once knew, shuffles down gated neighborhoods in neon green Adidas while Dodda turns around to watch for hungry eyes in sandals that peel at the heels. The nightjar sings in tune with her landline. Quiet, subliminal darkness unfolds the cloak of nighttime. 13,000 miles away, we are greeting the sun. We prattle about carnivals and tank tops, about new dreams, opportunities, goals, ideas, our lives. Dodda, when will you come and see us? Soon, Bangaru, soon. Then she tucks herself in with a blanket that steams like rice and dreams her wishes into our realities.
Shout out first generation brown women, okay? Yes! Applause all the way. Coming back to the stage, we have our beautiful DC Youth Poet Laureate, Serena! Let's see if I got it this time. Okay, no, I got it. Yeah, it's good. It's fine. Okay. Nice to see you guys again. So this poem is called "And the Big Human Talks to the Little Human," and it's actually dedicated to Yasmin in the audience today. Yasmin and I actually met about 2 years ago online. We've only met about 2 times in person, but it was the best decision I ever made to say hello to you. And we formed this connection where we're now poets who we can swap pieces with each other and it reads like the same voice. It's incredible. I've never met anyone like that. So thank you so much for inspiring this poem. A little background on this poem is that it was created through a Twitter prompt. Actually, Yasmin sent to me. She was like, oh, so if you were a tree, how would you explain growing? And so it's a really weird prompt, but I decided to take it and make something of it. And, I'm not one to back down out of a dare, especially one from Yasmin. So shout out to you for inspiring everything, I guess. Okay. And the big human talks to the little human. He says, trees die as we do, slowly. When you die, I want to hold you until you fall asleep. When I die, I want to plant a stake in your heart and grow through it, entrenched in vines. I graduated a year ago, entrenched in something else. I mean, there is a different kind of growing. up, over, into the light out of someone's heart. I mean, even when you stop growing, you don't really. You carry your grandma's soup recipe, your father's eyes, your ex's Spotify playlist from a second account. You hold yourself up with my shoulders. You are a cauldron of the people who have loved you into existence, a greenhouse of many faces, synthesizing, breathing. Let me introduce you to my good friend photosynthesis, a conversion of light. I mean, there is a different kind of conversion, love. I am rooted in all the people I have loved, and one day I want to convert you to something. Plantonomics 101. The nature you invest in is the nature you reproduce. Light to sugar, soul to sweetness. Let me introduce you to me. I always believed I loved people with the wrong economics. Always, sometimes, never. Superlatives inverted, I convinced myself I wasn't worth it, but I am not cheaply loved if we are spent on each other. Let's go to sleep before you figure that out. I mean, we can also lie awake and dialogue at the stars, curled into each other's arms like twin harps, which is to say, I think you were cut once while asleep, and the injury has graduated into a story. I mean, there is a different kind of death, healing, which is to say, let me hold you in the now. In between the now and the last time I get to do so, let me love you out of existence. When you forget how to grow, I will teach you how to die slower. I love you, Yasmin.
These poems connecting me to the earth and just growing me in appreciation are doing the most for me. This is like free therapy right here. Another round of applause for our lovely poet. Coming back up to the stage, we have the lovely Ilana. Okay. Thank you. This poem is called The Accent Upon My Tongue. I sit perched behind front row desks, scribbling until my handwriting bleeds into type, twisting my tongue to form sounds that may be words that I understand in only crescents, in slivers of the moon. I speak in ellipses, in the spaces between sentences, in the silences that are unbreakable and already broken. My utterance is not America, layered atop the language of my grandmother's lullabies, nor is it of the land she used to sing about. Cradled on a distant shore, it is something in between. There are songs that have been scrawled onto the insides of my eyelids, melodies that have perfect words that turn my tongue helpless. I write poetry in the margins of my school papers. Lamentations, ethics co-authored with Google Translate. I erase. Watch the rubber shavings dance away on wind's wings. The bits of pink weave themselves into another sunrise, always to another prayer, always to words again. When I was little, I asked my mother which language to pray in. She said the language of my heart, but I still don't know which one that is. Sometimes, when I'm singing, my consonants are perfect. Figments of moon in my palms, and in those split instants, my prayers become flags that meld into my back, wings that fly me home until they fall to half-mast again. Because I speak in ellipses, in the spaces between sentences, in the silences I cannot fill, in the words I'm forgetting, in the places I come from, in the land that I long for, in the one that I live in the prayers stuffed into crevices, in the silence of the summer dew on the fields, in the whisper of the orchard winds, the olive trees, in the echoes of home. I speak in her lullabies. This is the accent upon my tongue. Thank you.
Yeah, the pen is strong. The pen is so strong. I have another haiku for you guys. Say haiku. Haiku. Sad coffee haiku. It's Monday morning. The coffee maker is dead. Double depresso. Coming back up to the stage for our final round of the second segment, we have the lovely Kashfi.
So this one has slightly a different tone than the other ones that I've read. We are 2 years out of COVID, and it's still starting to feel like deja vu. We're exactly in the same place we were 2 years ago. So Uvalde is just the latest in a line of horrible, horrible occurrences that have been happening for the last century. And so me and my other YPLs wanted to write some poems that reflect how these occurrences have made us feel. So my poem is called 11 Years is Too Young. My sister first taught me how to smile in photos. For years, toothache counted out the whites, brushed my face with untraceable discontent. Then she stood by my side, squeezed the excess skin on my elbow. That's when our bodies turned TV static. Earthquake shoulders we pressed against one another as we tried to remain upright. Our laughter transported us through the frame. Now our walls are elbow deep in scrunched noses and upturned mouths. She taught me how to heal, too. Helped me close my eyes, let the pill trickle with water. The burning sensation of a clogged throat washed away with the steady pulse of her hand. Half my size, twice as strong. And when the trickle transferred to my cheeks, her lap became a tear-stained canvas. My sister made something beautiful out of darkness. 11 years old, just like Maya Cerrillo. Life cord tethered to her friend's death, red-stained memories painting over normal. A ghost of daddy's little girl, face cold, hard. Metal like the shots that fire at the end of every period. Every exclamation turned statement, turned question, because nothing is certain anymore. How do they feel around for beautiful in the dark when their limbs are weighted with bullets? When they woke up that morning, gunshots sounded like pots and pans, like mommy's eggs smeared on the floor, like glass face too fractured for flowers. When they left home that morning, I love you was a comma, followed by see you later. When they got to school that morning, white walls were plastered with all about me's and thank you notes, with letters to pen pals and secret drawings pulled from desk drawers and framed. When the clock struck 11:33 a.m., desks became shields, lifelines, too thin to drown out a muffled cry. Walls were suddenly exposed, now tinted, tainted, no longer pure. I love you wasn't meant to be a eulogy. Uzziah Garcia, McKenna Elrod, Jose Flores, Xavier Lopez, Amory Garcia, Tessie Mata, Alexander Rubio, Nevia Bravo, Miranda Mathis, their names spell over a news headline. Too many to say in one breath. One last breath they never had. Your son could be next. Your cousin, your student, our sisters. Our lives could be rooted with cavities. Toothache smiles returned. The steady pulse of a hand half our size, overtaken by a soundless echo. How do we heal when there's no one left to teach us how? Thank you. Collective deep breath in and out.
Nice. It was a heavy poem, but poetry serves with truth. Thank you so much for your poem, Kashfi. We appreciate you. Coming up to the stage, we're going to be having another poet speak on their relationship to the complex but beautiful world around us. Please give another and final round of applause for Serena.
Actually, oh, wow, nice. Doing it. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for the education and microphone 101. Appreciate it. Okay. So this poem is called The Fruit Poem, and it's come about through articulating the complexities of. Oh, okay. So this poem is called The Fruit Poem, and it's come about through articulating the complexities of the roles that poets have to face when writing about gun violence. A bunch of people have asked me to write poems about fruit, and once this train passes, I will tell you a poem about fruit. So can we give some applause for the train, please? Wow, that was really good. That was like, I don't know about you guys. Oh, good point. You know, the train's just a fan. Okay, well, I'll just start by saying, right? Has anybody else noticed this? I was gonna say, like, I think it's just a fan. Thank you. Okay. All right. Still going? Oh, wow. Guess who wants my autograph? You know? It's the price of being famous.
Now the train has fans.
Yeah. It just keeps going, you know? This is the most dedicated fan I've ever had, I have to say. Thank you. Yeah, honestly, I should just start performing over it.
Let's play our game one more time. Ready? I'm not even gonna re-explain the directions. Y'all better have known, okay? Keep it going for Serena!
Thank you guys so much. I feel like this is familiar, like I've been up. Okay. Okay, so this is called The Fruit Poem. And, you know, again, it's written after the complexities of dealing with being a poet and writing about gun violence when everyone wants me to write about something silly, like fruits. Okay. After J. Hamid Bashir. Thank you. I'll tell you a secret. This is the closest I'll get to writing a fruit poem. My friends in the Poison Ivy League say it's what every successful poet does. Maybe because they only leave their rooms to get a snack, and maybe they're too scared to admit their love of goldfish. I'll get them someday. Me, I just don't have the time to sit and unleash a quiet violence on fruit. That would require sitting and staring at it all day, which I just don't have the time to do. I'll tell you a secret, though. Fruits hate eyes.
They prefer words to carry them from place to place. Consider, narayan sounds like narangi, sounds like naranja. That's how I learned Sanskrit to Hindi to Spanish, learned to hold fruit between the bones of every language, learned to dribble juice between my elbows like basketballs. My mother dreamed of tying English to a kite. But this is not a mother poem. This is not a land poem. This is not a what motherland am I from poem, just some poem. I'll tell you a secret. Fruits hate their little labels. Me, I dream of astronauts turning into oranges before they hit the moon, children bursting into raspberries in the summer sun, a nation stomached by its wounds, wounded by its teeth. Heads rolling like grapes under the freezer. They couldn't identify the children at Uvalde except for by thin little strings. Meanwhile, the poets tie fruit baskets into dandelions and ask the wind how it lost its cool, how it could blow a flower that beautiful to pieces. Poets have time to quarrel with the moon, silly, useless poets. You'd have thought by reading so many patterns, they'd finally understand how history reverses itself. You could replace this title with the bones of another, and it is still true that this nation makes pulp of its children to evict them, and that is not fiction. At least I have the irreparable privilege of expiring my youth before I rot. How wasteful would I feel writing a cut fruit collection, judging the merits of my mother's love for me. In Mango, I know exactly how much she loves me. I would take a bullet for her until it split my spine into guava, showered my flesh into the million black ants spilling from its center. We are just fruits. We don't have to brag about falling apart, about metaphors collapsing like empires, about something silly like the spring blushes. My mother scrubs melon peel with toothbrushes. I fold my mouth away from the stain and inherited smoke anyway. See, fruits know the pain of growing. No, also, it doesn't make them interesting. I don't have to be a tortured laureate, but I'd hate to fall off someday. I'll tell you a secret. Fruits actually hate trees. That's why they're always dropping from them. Ever since the apple wanted a friend and found Isaac Newton instead, consider they both found a way to be consumed, to live forever in the hollow of one man's wound. Of this fruit, I believe poets are forever jealous. I believe poets see an unmaking in all accumulations, because we want to write growth without adhering to it. Because in a world where everything matters, how does it? Every skeleton is an orange. Every verse is rewriting itself. I'll tell you a secret. I had a friend who, while totally sober, would throw pomegranate seeds at the sun, shocked that each one would return to her in some glistening, angry arc. In the same way, our lives, lovers, and friends will leave in rotary, and because of this, we scorn the circle. I'd say we curse with the wrong geometry, but nothing escapes language. So maybe it is perfect to make meaning of even mistake, when like love, there is too much to swallow. I'm at an age, 19, where I've laughed all my lemons out, thrown more dreams than fruit. I don't know the end when I'm with her, but staring at the rot is how I know I can't be shaken by it, how I move myself to act in some way. I collect, I love, I cut. I learn to want with things I don't. In the future, I can only imagine how abundantly love gives herself to me again and again, knowing what the knife tastes like. And this is how I heal, no longer ashamed to taste it again. I used to hoard those fruit-scented erasers in middle school. Yeah, I was that kid. And it was a magical experience, accumulating love in the death I used to see everywhere and then nowhere, and then all at once. I'll tell you a secret. I write in lowercase because my hands aren't small, but I wish they were. I write knowing I'll rewrite everything later in my head. Every now and then, I'll turn the radio on and I'll hear myself sing. Once I heard a celebrity say, I want poetry that makes me feel. No, I want to feel what isn't poetry. To know love before meaning, seed before fruit. Thank you.
Christine, what's your favorite fruit? Yeah. This is a make it or break it question. If you don't give me a good answer, we're not friends anymore.
Oh, okay. You put me on the spot. I'm gonna say strawberry. I hope that's good.
Strawberries? Who agrees with that? Let's hear some snaps. Strawberries? Okay. Pink shirt likes the strawberries. All right. Coming up last of our second round, we have the lovely Ilana.
This poem, it's like thinking about what it's like to be in school the day after a shooting, and then also lockdown drills, and yeah, those two woven together. On days like these, this place feels like a question. The floor is pressed into our knees, each corner a place for a monster, each window a gamble at freedom, each one of us a ticking time bomb. Just 3 weeks ago, we learned how to barricade the doorways, to remember that if we happen to find ourselves drowning, there is no way out of it, just through it, only our own swimming arms at a bridge of bodies that could be crossed by any killer. Pace the tiles of every hallway, memorize which closets are always unlocked, pay attention, learn pre-algebra, stop thinking about how 10 plus 21 plus 3 plus 3 is 37 people have died since that day. We learned how to hide. The numbers rise every time I look. Think of X. Ask why bullets are valued more than breath. The floor is starting to hurt my knees. I have been here so long that I've forgotten what it feels like to stand. 3 weeks ago, the principal tried to teach us what bullets sounded like. She said they are fireworks, like the ones I used to dance to on the 4th of July. She tells us to run from the noise, and I'm starting to wonder what that says about this country. The clouds are gray. The sky is fraying. Today, the preschool that my bus passes every morning has planted some saplings already growing today. In Texas, there is only caution tape and cameras. Thoughts and prayers like those are what will change the world. The 22 desks in this room are abandoned for the next while. They are products of hundreds of doodles and now inhabited by a world full of kids who are trying to learn without dying. We sit in the corners, in the places invisible from the doorway, silent. I do not know how long we will have to sit here, how many minutes it will take until the principal comes onto the PA system and says everything's all right. And what if she doesn't? I do not know how many more moments will go by until the bullets stop echoing and people forget. A school to a graveyard in 60 minutes. We are invincible. The blinds are drawn. The light is gone. But if someone were to see, they would see an entire generation in room 311, bleeding from aching knees. We are silent. And yet today there was something barely spoken between us, something that hinted of a command. An anthem, the first chords of a far-off protest song. The lyrics only contain 8 words. The melody is simple. We sing it over and over again, and somehow the earth keeps turning at 1,000 miles an hour. The air remains undisturbed. We sing anyway in this quiet, like maybe we might be the first ones to be heard. We sing, look at us. We are on our knees. Look at us. We are on our knees. Look at us. We are on our knees. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our reading for the evening. If you guys had an amazing time, say yeah. Another round of applause for the amazing poets that touched the microphone. And thank you all so much for showing up. Again, my name is Marjan. It was such a pleasure to host you all. Giving the mic over to the American Poetry Museum.
Thank you, Marjan.
All right. Thank you, Marjan. Thank you all for being here to hear some fantastic poetry. I've been reading poetry around here for a long time, and the energy that was and the words that came from these young people is fantastic. Just fantastic. I want to make note that 2 other poets laureate are in the audience. Gabriella, the 2019 DC Poet Laureate, and Saini, the 2021 PG County Poet Laureate. Now, the music's gonna come back on, but I gotta do a little business. The American Poetry Museum is a nonprofit organization. We depend on grants and donations, and that's how we pay our poets, how we pay our musicians, and how we keep the lights on and pay the rent. If you're able to, if you're moved to, you can contribute to the organization. That box, the shoe shine box there, whatever you can do. Also, if you prefer to do it electronically, you can also use PayPal and Cash App if you move to. I will remind you that at the end of this month, there will be another combo. It's what we do every last Sunday of the month. There will be music, just music. Joe Link on drums, Chuck Underwood on guitar, Pepe Gonzalez on bass, Lawrence Wheatley on sax, and I cannot remember a singer. Karen Lovejoy. Thank you all for being here. Stick around, talk to some folks that you may not have met before. Enjoy the music. There's still some water there. Have a good time. Thank you.